you need to pay attention to this. Bitcoin is on a slippery fence as we speak. It's at a complete breaking point. And on this slippery fence, if we slip and fall, it's a long way to crash down to the ground. However, if Bitcoin is able to maintain its balance, and on this slippery fence, we continue to the other side and we get there safely, there could be absolute bliss on the other side of the fence. But this is a critical breaking point, and everyone is begging to know, which way is this going to break? We have Bitcoin that's been going sideways for 140 days. Are we going to break finally up and create a new all-time high? Or are we gonna fall from that slippery fence and have a far way crash down to the ground? In order to figure out the true reasons and the true benefits and the true facts in the charts, we have to go to a trustworthy chart. And I lead you to this one, the Fear and Greed Index, which we have been covering right here in this chair for 6 years. This chart is trusted, true, pure, cold hard facts, all based on market structure. And I'm gonna walk you through it today because there are some huge clues to see if Bitcoin is going to fall from that slippery fence, or are we somehow magically gonna get to the other side safely where we are going to have great power and on our side. That's what we're going to uncover in today's video. So let's jump into it. Imagine breaking free from your financial worries and achieving true financial freedom. Normally, our yearly membership costs almost $7,000, but for a limited time, you can access it for just $960, an incredible 86% discount. You'll immediately unlock live trading sessions, over 200 bite-sized mini courses perfect for a busy schedule, exclusive weekly market reports, daily chart alerts, and a step-by-step blueprint to financial freedom. Plus, with the yearly plan, you're gonna get 2 months free and 3 trade alerts worth 2.4K. I literally can't make it any easier. This is your opportunity to break free from those financial worries. The price equals less than $3 per day to completely change your whole life and your family's future. Our exclusive members have seen incredible results, like Pat, who is up over 50% in his brokerage account. Worried about commitment? You can cancel anytime, no questions asked. Don't miss out. This is limited time only. Visit CryptoCrewUniversity.com now. Again, that's CryptoCrewUniversity.com. Go now, clock is ticking. So where I lead you today is the Fear and Greed Index. This is one of my favorite charts. It's so simple, it's so clean, and there are so many opportunities of absolute beautiful market structure right, left, and center, right in front of your face. Let me take you there. So when you go to the Fear and Greed Index, right, there's a couple different things. You can look at the 7-day, the 1 month, the 3 month. Right now we're on max, right? When you click max, you're gonna get all the data. And it's gonna start in early 2018, and it's gonna lead you all until present day. And the Fear and Greed Index is really simple. When we're hot, when we're up at these numbers, 70, 80, 90, 100, that's when the high majority of the herd is buying. And they're buying in what's considered greed. You never wanna buy when there's that much greed in the market. Where you wanna buy is when there's a lot of fear. When there's absolute fear and everyone says we're going way, way lower, that's when you want to buy. You don't see 10 very often, but on occasion we will see 10. The last time we saw 10 was back in 2022, and we saw 10 here in 2019, right? There's an occasional 10, but you want to really look at that 10, 20, 30-ish area as opportunities to add to your bags. If you're in crypto for the long run, this is a simple, clean chart where you can stay level-headed. What's going to be wild is that this chart right here is going to really actually say the facts that are the opposite of what you're hearing across the news and across social media. This is where it becomes hard. This is why this is a difficult game. You have to play a mental game with yourself. For example, when it's going to tell you to sell, to take profits, you're going to have the biggest urge to buy because you're going to hear it and see it everywhere across social media that you should be buying, and you're going to feel like you're left out, like everybody's buying. you're going to have the opposite when we're down here. When we're in that fear, you're going to be absolutely scared that we're going to drop lower, and that will prevent you from buying. Think about it in the opportunities that you've had in your life to buy or sell anything. It's usually the opposite that's been true. Now, when we look at this chart and we understand, okay, we should buy at the 10, 20, 30, and we should sell at the 70, 80, 90. Where are we right now? Well, where we're at right now is here, up into that 70 area. We are in greed, and there's no way around it. It is right in front of our face. We are in greed. Last month, we were in greed. We're in greed right now. What does that mean? That means the high majority of people are anticipating significantly higher prices. That's not my opinion. These are just facts. However, we do have room for improvement. As I mentioned, Bitcoin is on that slippery fence. It's a breaking point in the market. You can feel it everywhere on every chart that you study. When we look at these facts, there's something that's really abundantly clear that I want to walk you through. Now that you have a better foundational piece of what this chart is and how to use it to your benefit, and you understand that it's free and you can use it forever, this is a huge tool to add to your toolkit. But it gets even better, because what this does is it really respects structure. Case in point, take a look at the bottom of our market. The bottom of the market here, between the levels of 20 and just below 10, we had the bottom of our market, we had a lot of dots print here. Once we moved into phase one of the bull, this is phase one of the bull here. Now, we're going to break it down in phase one, phase two, phase three. I'm going to tell you here, and then I'm going to show you a different example to get a better visual representation. But this is phase one here, this is phase two here, and we are in phase three. Let me show you a visual representation of the phases, because Bitcoin has these phases every single market in its history. Where we have the red box, that's the bottom of the market. So in this cycle, we had the bottom of the market. The past cycle, this is the bottom in the red box. In 2017, this is the bottom. In 2013, this is the bottom. We have phase one represented with our yellow box. The yellow box always builds like a Lego right on top of the red box. It builds market structure right on top. It's a beautiful thing, and that's a very healthy thing for the market. Imagine breaking free from your financial worries and achieving true financial freedom. Normally, our yearly membership costs almost $7,000, but for a limited time, you can access it for just $960, an incredible 86% discount. You'll immediately unlock live trading sessions, over 200 bite-sized mini courses perfect for a busy schedule, exclusive weekly market reports, daily chart alerts, and a step-by-step blueprint to financial freedom. Plus, with the yearly plan, you're going to get 2 months free and 3 trade alerts worth 2.4K. I literally can't make it any easier. This is your opportunity to break free from those financial worries. The price equals less than $3 per day to completely change your whole life and your family's future. Our exclusive members have seen incredible results, like Pat, who is up over 50% in his brokerage account. Worried about commitment? You can cancel anytime, no questions asked. Don't miss out. This is limited time only. Visit CryptoCrewUniversity.com now. Again, that's CryptoCrewUniversity.com. Go now. Clock is ticking. So you see this yellow box right on top of the red. You see this yellow box on top of the red. You see this yellow box on top of the red, and this yellow box on top of the red. That is phase one. Phase one usually shoots up in price, and then it builds structure directly on top of that red box, just like a Lego. When you move into phase two is the same thing, as it builds structure on top of the box of phase one. So that's your second Lego. You had one Lego there, you built the other Lego right on top. So we have this white box as phase two, white box phase two, white box phase two, white box phase two. What we notice is that phase two always rallies directly to this fib level, right? We have the fib level as here represented on our scale, and you can see the fib level right here. We rally right to this fib level, the 0.78, and we're on the log scale. So the 0.78 on the log scale, we rally to every single time in phase two. Every single time in phase three, which I had mentioned earlier, we are in phase three. That's not up for debate. Phase three always rallies to the prior all-time high, this red line. You see this red arrow? That's where we're at right now. We have resistance at phase three. We have not entered phase four. Just like 2021, red arrow, we're at phase three here. 2017, red arrow, phase three here. 2013, phase three right here. So now you understand these building blocks, and then you can see it represented in the fear and greed. It's a beautiful thing. You can see phase one one here building its structure directly on top of the bottom. You can see it's a beautiful thing. And then you see phase 2 building structure directly on top of phase 1. And then you see phase 3 started really building beautiful structure on top of phase 2. And then things kind of slipped through the cracks. That's why we're on that slippery fence right now. And I'm going to walk you through some concerns I have and how Bitcoin could really turn it around and progress down that slippery fence and get to the other side where there's absolute bliss. Now, when you look at it, you can say, okay, we rally up, we hold this structure, and when we hold this structure, we create new highs. In other words, since the bottom of the market, Bitcoin has been creating a high, a higher high, another higher high, another higher high, and another higher high. Throughout all of these, this is over a long period of a year, year and a half. You can see our first high is back in August 2022, and then we had another high in February 23, and then another high in April 23, and then another high in November 23, and another one in January 24, and then the ultimate high in March 24. So consistent higher highs as well as consistent higher lows. That's the key to this. By definition, as we discuss on this channel, that is an uptrend. Every time you have higher highs consistently and higher lows consistently, that's by definition an uptrend. That's what you want to see in a bull run. So you see an uptrend here, you see an uptrend in every bull run we had, right? You go all the way back to 2018. It was no different then. We had a high here, a higher high here, a higher high here, a higher high here, a higher high here, up to the pivot point of this high here. And then we had some broken structure and we had to really recover from that time period. So where we're at right now is we had consistent higher highs and consistent higher lows, and then something happened. Take a look. We had this one right here in March. We followed that up with having this pivot low right here. You see this pivot low, how it took out this prior low? This prior low was in January. This pivot low was in May. And you can see we took out this low with a lower low. That's not good. We followed that up with a beautiful rally, but it was a failed rally. We couldn't get higher than this one. We got only up to here, meaning we couldn't make a higher high. And then we followed that up with taking out this pivot low and making yet another lower low. In other words, we were in an uptrend for a year and a half, and just recently we're showing signs that we have broken that structure of the uptrend, hence the slippery slope that we are on. We are on a breaking point here. So let me walk you through just structurally, just facts. Everything I said so far is a bona fide fact. I haven't given even one opinion yet. What I want to do is walk you through the facts so you have them and you understand what is happening right before our eyes. So Bitcoin had an opportunity with this pivot low. It took out this low, it made a lower low, it had a chance to rally and recover, and it didn't. It failed. It couldn't make a higher high. It was a lower high, and then we crashed to make a lower low. So then we made two lower lows in a row, and now we're rallying, and we're in the midst of it. We're there right now. At this moment, we are at a breaking point, and that's where it leads us into this discussion. What you want to notice is during this time, Bitcoin has a choice to make. Are we going to break through and try to get into this 80 range? Because the 80 range would take out our most recent failed rally and the failed rally before that and get us back into the territory of potentially continuing the uptrend. Let me show you an example of phase 2. So we talked about phase 1, building beautiful structure. We talked about this as phase 2. Phase 2 had this pivot low here. We took it out with this one. Right after that, we recovered beautifully and took out all of these highs, making a new high. We didn't waste any time, right? We didn't make another lower low and have another failed and another lower low, and potentially we made this pivot low. It was slightly lower than this one, taking out a bit of structure, and easily walked across that fence, got to the other side really quickly, and bliss was on that other side because that's when prices really started skyrocketing. Now, what is Bitcoin going to do? I just showed you an example. In phase 2 of the bull, we're in phase 3. It was just one phase ago that we were presented with the same opportunity on that slippery fence, and Bitcoin recovered quickly, swiftly, and with really conviction. You can see these highs. We're having some resistance at that 70. Keep in mind that 70 area is where you should really start to think about taking profits, especially in the 80s and absolutely in the 90s. You don't see the 90s very often, right? You can see on our chart, we have 6 years of data in front of us. This is not just a guess. This is a bona fide facts, literally 6 years of data in front of us. And you can count on your hands how many times we've been 90 or higher. One of them was just recently at that 73,500, which, as you know, we don't even need to roll the clip. I told you a surprise crash was coming. You could see what happened after that. Josh says, Steve's courses in FFA have transformed my trading in just a few weeks. Peter says, you changed my life. JW said, don't be stupid, sign up. If I can make 16 times my money, you can for sure. When Lambo said, joining the FFA was the best decision of my life. I want to help transform your life next. Join our exclusive community, limited time only, CryptoCrewUniversity.com. That's one time. The other was at our 21 top, and the other one was at a 2019 top. That was we went from 3K up to 14, and we printed a gravestone doji, and I told you guys about it, and the rest is history there. There's literally 3 times that we got into the 90 area. What we're asking Bitcoin to do is recover, and we're in the midst of it as we speak. However, what you can see is we made a high here, a lower high here back on March 25th, a lower high here back on June 5th, and so far, a lower high here present day. These are not my opinions. All of these are bona fide facts. Structure is everything in the charts, okay? What I want you to do is focus on these facts and focus on one number and one number only. What Bitcoin needs to do on this slippery fence to not slip and fall all the way to the ground is it needs to get back into the 80s. So if you're watching this, we need to have stronger greed. Unfortunately, that's the only way to keep this thing going, because what has happened in the market is, well, I'm going to leave that for a second. I'm going to go through a couple more facts, and then I'm going to give you my synopsis on what's going on so that you can leave this video with not only bona fide facts, significantly more understanding of this chart, a tool that you can use forever, and now you understand how to use it, structure advice, but I'm also going to give you what I see happening in terms of price action and where we're at in our market cycle. But let's continue. So Bitcoin would need to get into the 80s, right? That's a bona fide fact. It would take out this recent failed rally and the failed rally before that, and it would start the room back for that uptrend to continue. Otherwise, we are in the midst of a potential downtrend. We have taken out our pivot low 2 consecutive times, and we've had 2 consecutive failed rallies. If you're in the FFA, comment your experience down below. Can't wait to read what you have to say. What you really want to see for a structure to break is 3. If you see 3 failed rallies and 3 take out of the pivot low, that is considered a trend. That's a new trend. So we've been in an uptrend for a year and a half, and we are at a breaking point. I cannot stress this anymore. A third one of a failed rally and a third one of a takeout of a pivot low is a new trend. And there's no way around it. That's not my opinion. These are just the facts that are in front of us. Now, what Bitcoin has on its side is the weekly stochastic RSI. What it has against it is the 2-month gravestone doji. And it's a battle. As we've said for 3 months, this is the story playing out right before our eyes. Now, let me leave you with my synopsis. So here's what's happened in the market in terms of the data that's in front of us. If you just showed me this chart and you didn't tell me what it was for, this is what I would say. And by the way, Bitcoin, if Bitcoin gets to the other side of the fence in a safe manner, all of your favorite altcoins are going to skyrocket with Bitcoin. There's just no way around it. If Bitcoin's on that slippery fence and falls, your favorite altcoins are going to plummet too. And there's no way around that, literally. So here's my synopsis of what's going on in the market. Bitcoin was far overextended when it reached 73,500. And that's not my opinion. It's bona fide facts in every chart that I study. Bitcoin was far overextended. It had to cool off. It had to regain its structure, and it needed a breath of fresh air to get some new momentum into the market. That's plain and simple. So once it got up here, we had to cool off. Therefore, we had a couple failed rallies. We took out a couple pivot lows, and this is Bitcoin's chance to really recover and save the day. The only way to do that is to move into the 80s, but it's asking a lot. You can see in 6 years of data, we're not in the 80s too often, right? The high majority of the time, we are not in the 80s. It's only on rare occasions we get into that zone, and we're asking Bitcoin to do it now, and we're relatively close, right? We're already in the 70s, and we need some more momentum to come into the market. One thing that Bitcoin has on its side is the stochastic RSI cross up, right? This is the key to it all, because if our cross continues up, we're going to have more and more and more momentum in the market. And when more momentum comes, price will rise. And as price rises, we are going to see even more greed, because more greed comes when prices rise. And if that happens, we could very well get into the 80s. And if that happens, we could be in the clear. We could be off of that fence and safely on the other side. What would need to happen after we get into the 80s is we do not make a lower low, right? This low is at 25. If Bitcoin were to get into the 80s and then crash even lower, that's just a fake out rally, and it's likely we're going to slip from the fence and fall to the ground. What you need to see are two things. We need to get into the 80s and then make a higher low. If Bitcoin were able to do those two things, by the way, that would be over the course of multiple weeks. These moves are not, hey, one day we're going to be here and the next day. It doesn't work like that, right? Bitcoin, nothing goes straight up, nothing goes straight down. You need to remain level-headed, and you need to trade less, and you need to watch less social media and focus more on the facts in the charts. But this chart is really super underrated, in my opinion. It's not talked about amongst crypto folks. It's not discussed. This is so simple. It's so clean. It's very powerful. We've been covering it for 6 years, and this is precisely what this chart has to say today. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you right back here in the next video. Is my yearly plan too much? Not to worry. We have a cheaper monthly price. Check it out now. CryptoCrewUniversity.com.